Just think about being able to buy a house the same way you buy stocks. There would be no banks, no mounds of paperwork, and no having to wait weeks while lawyers sort through papers. With just a few taps on your phone, you can own a piece of land anywhere in the world and start making money from it. That is the present day. It has already come. The question now is whether real estate could really be the key that opens trillions of dollars worth of value on the XRP ledger. Let's begin. This is not advice about money. Let's talk about why this is important. Around the world, real estate is the most valuable asset class. The total value of everything in the world is over $400 trillion, and most of it is locked up. Real estate is slow, hard to sell, and out of date. The method is hard to use and costs a lot if you've ever bought or rented a house. Every state and country has its own laws and rules, and there are a lot of people who get in the way of everything. When you tokenize real estate on the blockchain, and more specifically on the XRP ledger, you quickly make it possible to divide ownership into as many digital shares as you want. Not just one person or business could buy a house. 50 or even 500 people from around the world could each own a piece of that house. Wow, that's really big. Rich people and corporations used to be the only ones who could take advantage of chances to get rich. Now, anyone with a phone and a wallet can use them. Real estate is something you can get into without putting down a $100,000 down payment. You don't have to deal with mortgage agents. You can just buy a piece of the property, rent it out, and even sell your share right away on a secondary market. That's the power of world liquidity, and XRP is quickly at the center of this. If you really want to find those once-in-a-lifetime business chances, I've put together something special for you. This is happening right now. In Texas, a $235,000 house in McAllen was tokenized and sold to 38 different people. Out of those buyers, 15 had never dealt with cryptocurrency before. They made their first wallets, bought shares, and are now getting USDC rent payments every week. The best part is that they can sell their shares whenever they want. Everyone can use it because it's quick, liquid, and easy to get. The government is also moving. Over 370,000 property records are being moved to blockchain in New Jersey. That is not a picture of the future. It is the present. Most of the time, governments are the last to use new technology. But if state-level offices are already putting property records on chain, that's a very strong sign. Dubai is even ahead. Digital property titles are being issued by their land department on the XRP ledger. That's not just words, it's real. But most people miss this important part. Putting X on the chain doesn't mean that the value is also on the chain. A document only shows who owns something, not how much it's worth. Mortgages, equity, and real estate prices will really change things when they are turned into tokens and linked directly to XRP. That means that not only do the rights to own it change hands, but so does its value. That's where XRP's value and usefulness go through the roof. Why? Because reserves and trades need XRP every time a property is turned into a token. If we do this on billions or trillions of dollars worth of real estate, more XRP will be locked up. This will lower the amount in circulation, make the network more busy, and raise demand. There's more to this than just processing fees. This is about XRP being the asset that connects the value of properties around the world. Allow us to play with some numbers. Analysts think that prices could reach $32 to $64 per coin at just 10% market share if even $22 trillion worth of real estate value went onto the XRP ledger and XRP was used directly in settlement. If you take 20%, the price of a coin could go up to $60 to $100. That's just real estate. When you add in the stocks, commodities, and other assets that Ripple wants to target, you get a network effect that most people can't even imagine. This is no longer an idea. BlackRock has already turned $10 trillion in assets into tokens. Dubai is giving out AX. Homes in Texas are being sold as NFTs. The state of New Jersey is putting property records on a chain. The snowball is moving. This is all going to connect, and XRP is set to be the asset that does it. Not just for banks and payments, but for the world's biggest class of assets. Let's go one step further with this. The most advanced public example of this right now is Ripple's relationship with the Dubai Land Department. They're not just putting property rights on a blockchain, they're also fractionalizing real estate, which means that investors from around the world can buy small pieces of properties. That means that anyone in the world can buy real estate in Dubai and sell it right away on the public XRP ledger. This lets billions of people into the market who couldn't before. Here's how XRP is different from other blockchains that want to do the same thing. XRP is designed to be fast, cheap, and easy to work with regulators. Ripple has worked for years to get along with governments, banks, and lawmakers. This is more than just a tech project, it's building things. They won't believe a chain that hasn't been used before. When a country or financial institution wants to tokenize a lot of assets, they are going to pick the network that is already working with officials and has a track record of being reliable enough for institutions. That's XRP. Don't forget that every tokenized product needs a reserve of XRP to work. This means that more XRP is locked into the network as more debts, deeds, and assets are turned into tokens. This is how desire and lack change over time. Imagine that properties worth billions of dollars need XRP lockups just to be on the chain. That keeps the supply under steady pressure. Let's zoom out now. By 2030, real-world assets are expected to be tokenized worth $16 trillion around the world. We're not just talking about small growth if XRP becomes the backbone for even a small part of that. Things are getting ready for XRP to become one of the world's most important banking systems. First steps are already being taken. Ripple is working on real estate technology with a number of states, banks, and asset managers. In Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, as well as Dubai, plans are being made to tokenize mortgages, deeds, and finally whole real estate markets. Ripple isn't just making the technology, they're also making the rules for the whole world. Think about what that means. At the moment, it's very hard for most people to buy land in another country. You have to deal with lawyers, notaries, rules that apply across borders, and fees that never end. With just a few taps on their phone, someone in New York could suddenly own a piece of a building in Dubai, Tokyo, or London. Rent payments could be made immediately, and properties could be bought and sold like stocks. Everything would be clear and happen right away. That's not just ease. It's a change in the way money works around the world. We can't say enough good things about XRP's part in this. There must be some kind of XRP for every deal, transaction, and tokenized asset on the XRP ledger. That is built into the system and can't be changed. In other words, as the use of XRP grows, so does its potential to affect prices. This is why institutions are getting ready in secret. This is why Ripple is meeting with officials. The government is tokenizing property information for this reason. This is why XRP is in a unique situation to take a huge chunk of the market for real assets. But here's the really cool part. It's still early. To be honest, most people don't even know that real estate is being tokenized on XRP. The infrastructure will be set up, partnerships will be set up, and the early adopters will be ready by the time the rest catch on. Don't forget that it's not just about actions, it's about equity, mortgages, and the whole business side of real estate. The scale is unthinkable once those values are linked directly to XRP. XRP will move more than just money, it will move the biggest class of assets in the world. So now that we know how tokenizing real estate could add trillions of dollars worth of value to the XRP system, let's move on to the next big piece of this puzzle: stablecoins and the use of them by institutions. Because tokenized real estate, known stablecoins, and liquidity infrastructure all work together to make a system that can change the way the world's money works. Let's begin with RLUSD. The name is probably being used more often these days. Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD is backed by the US dollar and is quickly becoming popular. Don't get the wrong idea, this isn't just another boring stablecoin. The stablecoin market is expected to grow to trillions of dollars in value over the next 10 years. This is Ripple's move to become a major player in that market. That's why this is important. Real estate that has been tokenized needs stable payment currencies. A property can be turned into a token, but investors need stable payouts when they earn rental income or sell fractions. That's where RLUSD comes in. It makes it possible to use tokenized real-world goods in everyday life. If rent is paid in RLUSD and property payments are made in RLUSD, all of a sudden we have a full economy with the XRP ledger at its center. It's already getting a lot of attention. The RLUSD has risen to the top 100 currencies. It's not a coincidence. That is speed. When you know that RLUSD is built on top of the infrastructure of XRP, you can see how this fits into the bigger plan: real land that has been tokenized, RLUSD settlement, and XRP as the bridge asset below. A network effect that builds on itself and grows. That's not all, though. Not only is Ripple working on RLUSD, but they are also working with other stablecoin creators to make XRP the best payment layer. Think about Europe, where it's hard to find stablecoins based on the euro. One company, Schumann Financial, put the euro stablecoin on the XRP system. At a time when many euro stablecoin providers are leaving the market, they've set themselves up as a high-quality supplier. This is very important because tokenized real estate is not just a US thing. It's a worldwide thing. There needs to be a stable currency for payment in Dubai, London, Paris, and Tokyo. Stablecoins like RLUSD and EUROE link investors all over the world if XRP ledger is the foundation. In order to explain this, Ripple execs keep talking about a rise in the quality of stablecoins. There won't be hundreds of different producers in the future. There are only a few big players with reliable infrastructure, lots of cash on hand, and governmental approval. It wants to be like them. That, along with the tokenization of the world's biggest asset class, makes this idea even stronger. Let's take a closer look at how Ripple's relationships are helping to spread the service. The Dubai Land Department, which uses the XRP ledger to print property title deeds, is still one of the most advanced cases. Not only are these documents PDFs on chain, but they are also digital assets that can be split up, sent, and bought and sold around the world. That's how things will be built in the future. It's not just Dubai either. Countries and banks in Asia, Europe, and the Middle East are talking with Ripple about how to make this model work in their own countries. Think about how that can change things. Instead of each country making its own separate tokenization system, XRP Ledger offers a single open platform that anyone can connect to. That's what makes XRP different from other coins. But there is also the difference between actions and value, which is very important. The main goal of many projects right now is to add title records to the blockchain. This is helpful for being clear, but the real value comes when debts, equity, and cash flows are also turned into tokens. Imagine being able to borrow money right away against your fractional real estate holdings, which you could then use as collateral for other assets. That needs more than just deed representation. It needs value expression as well. That's when XRP's value as a bridge asset really goes through the roof, because this is how it works. On the XRP ledger, every tokenized object needs XRP reserves. XRP is needed for all mortgages and collateralized tokens that are tied to real estate to work. Most of the XRP is locked up when more assets are turned into tokens. That puts direct pressure on the supply. XRP can also be used as settlement currency, which means it can be used to send money quickly across borders to support these transactions. This is possible when value is represented on the chain itself. That's where desire comes in from adoption. In turn, desire has an effect on prices. Don't forget what's going on with organizations right now. BlackRock, the world's biggest asset manager, is turning assets worth $10 trillion into tokens. This test isn't easy. The world's largest bank is saying that tokenization is the way of the future. Ripple is already linked to a huge number of banks and payment providers, even though they haven't made any public deals related to XRP. The bridge is being put together. The CME Group is the biggest derivatives market in the world. They set up official XRP reference rates and real-time measures in 2024 as well. You can't just look at these as numbers. They are standards that big companies use to make decisions. Now that reference rates are clear and controlled, institutions can use XRP to make products like futures, ETFs, and structured notes. In fact, CME started offering cash-settled XRP futures in May 2025. This is one of their fastest growing products. That is the most advanced level of adoption. Think about what it means. Tokenizing real estate causes a huge need for blockchain infrastructure. The payment layer is made up of stablecoins like RLUSD. XRP is the glue that holds everything together. The biggest derivatives market in the world, CME, is now making institutional products on XRP. We can see a whole environment coming together right there. But let me show you another view. How the market works. Regulators didn't know what to do with XRP for years. That let stories about Ethereum and Bitcoin take the lead. But things are changing now that regulations are becoming clearer and Ripple has secured global agreements. You can tell because some people in the crypto space have become more hostile toward XRP all of a sudden. People who didn't pay attention to it for 10 years are now putting time into discrediting it. It's not a coincidence. That's fear. When established players feel like they are being pushed, they fight back. Mark Yusko, for example, has said things that don't like XRP, even though it's used all over the world. But let's be honest. He has a lot of money put in Ethereum and Bitcoin. If buyers switch to XRP, his bags will not be as strong. Same goes for other people in the business who benefited when XRP was pushed to the side. The threats are coming out now that the playing field is level. Their only goal is to protect their territory. But getting fired won't change the facts on the ground. Ripple is working with governments, banks, and regulators, and XRP is running infrastructure in the real world. In the meantime, Ripple keeps showing that it can last. They have stayed the same through cases, market cycles, and never-ending false information. In crypto, that doesn't happen very often. A lot of projects start out strong but fail. Ripple and XRP are still around, making progress and building. When institutions choose who to work with, that kind of endurance is important. Banks don't want projects that don't last long. They want long-term security, compliance, and peace of mind. All three have been shown by Ripple. Add the strategic angle now. Countries all over the world are rushing to bring their banking systems up to date. Some parts of Africa, the Middle East, and Asia are moving quickly to use tokens, blockchain, and cross-border payment. The digital yuan is being made in China. The EU wants the euro to be digital. The US is talking about how to regulate stablecoins. Everyone is moving. And in that race, XRP has set itself up as a neutral bridge asset that is quick, cheap, scalable, and linked to the rest of the world. This is why Ripple keeps going to events like Ripple Swell, which bring together financial leaders, regulators, and banks from all over the world. Their message isn't just for crypto fans. At the highest levels, they are making decisions about the future of business. There is a reason why Schumann Financial talks about Euro stablecoins, CME adds XRP indices, and Dubai splits up properties on the ledger. They fit together like a puzzle, and it's getting easier to see. The goal is to tokenize real-world assets. Stablecoins are what make settlement possible. XRP is the link that connects everything and makes it available, global, and easy to get to. It's not a dream. That's a plan being carried out one step at a time. Think about what will happen when these systems get bigger. XRP is used to settle the deal between buyers in Europe who buy a tokenized property in Dubai and get paid in RLUSD. The XRP is then used in another deal in the US. This deal is backed by tokenized mortgages, and prices are set by CME reference rates. Each of the parts makes the other stronger. It's not a straight line, but an exponential growth that makes ecosystems bigger. And the point of no return is almost here. The government is already on board. A lot of institutions are already on board. Coin makers are getting ready. Pilots for tokenization are now live. The next step is to grow. The value of assets going onto blockchain rails goes from billions to trillions of dollars. And when that happens, XRP isn't just another cryptocurrency. It turns into the foundation of a new money system. When we step back and look at the bigger picture, we can see that the global banking system is being restructured right now. No matter what you call it, the Great Reset, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, or just the way money has always changed, one thing is clear. There are a lot of tools around XRP that are used in the process. No longer can we act like this is just another speculative token that goes up and down on a market. Systemic integration is clear from the partnerships, the fights over rules, and the constant positioning by states and banks. Another thing to keep in mind is that BlackRock doesn't just make predictions like the ones Mishnik mentioned. As soon as a trillion-dollar asset manager even hints that XRP could be a key part of the future of finance, you can be sure that it's true. The people in these places don't talk for fun. Behind the screen, things are already moving in the background, so they talk. This is why people in the neighborhood are both excited and careful. We're excited because the upside possibility isn't like anything else in the market. Be careful because the stakes are so high that delays, trickery, and false information are certain to happen. When you talk about a restart of value transfer on a global level, there is a lot of opposition. The interesting thing is that smaller players, like regular people who invest money, are already showing that they see the promise here. That's why, despite all the ups and downs, XRP still has one of the most dedicated groups in the whole crypto space. Unlike projects that go through hype cycles and then fall off, XRP has been tried in court, by the government, and by years of doubt. Still, here we are, stronger than ever with infrastructure being built around the world in the background. Also, it's important to point out how the pieces are coming together at the same time. Take a look. CBDCs are being pushed forward by central banks. Big names in payments are changing how they work to adapt to faster cross-border settlement. Finally, rules are being made for digital goods by regulators. And the tech infrastructure is getting better, which means these systems can grow safely. All of this isn't just happening by chance. It's a well-planned step into the next age of finance. XRP isn't the only thing in the mix. It's in the middle. This is why price goals like $1,000, while seeming crazy at first, stop being funny when you think about how much institutional, useful, and flexible demand there could be once the floodgates open. Don't forget that worth is more than just market cap. It has to do with how the item fits into the bigger picture. If trillions of dollars are moving through networks that settle on XRP, then a value of $1,000 is no longer a question of if, but when. But let's also leave the air behind. Really tough problems still need to be solved. The courts can make things take longer than anyone wants. The government can throw curveballs. Adoption might take longer than planned. We're not familiar with this area, and the road ahead is rough. But the bumps aren't what's most important. It's the way things move. It's clear which way to go. To get institutions to use digital assets like XRP, make them available all over the world and integrate them into the whole system. One thing I've noticed is that this keeps getting missed by the major media. Inflation figures, short-term Fed comments, and changes in the stock market are what they're paying attention to. But what about the deep structural change going on below? That isn't talked about much. That's good for people who are paying attention now, because most people will not be able to change their plans by the time the news finally shifts to what has been building for years. That's why being early is helpful. No matter how long XRP has been around, we are still in the early stages. The new banking system settlement layer is not yet fully up and running. It's still early days for the ETFs, custody solutions, and enterprise-grade rails. There has never been a bull run like the one coming up in the next few years. It will be like no other in the last 10 years. The main point is easy to understand. Pay close attention to what the big players do. We can see the signs. Whether it's BlackRock, Ripple's growing list of partnerships, or the trial balloons that lawmakers and institutions keep putting out there. They are not speculating. They are getting ready. You see that this is bigger than XRP when you take a step back. This is about changing the way money works and how value is exchanged around the world. But XRP has been able to get a seat at the table. In this way, it stays different from the rest. As this deep dive comes to a close, I'd like to leave you with this thought. People who saw the change before everyone else go down in history. The ones who looked at the signs, put the pieces together, and were strong enough to hold on through the chaos. That's where we are now. We are on the verge of a financial change that has never been seen before in modern times. You already know what's at stake if you've been paying attention. Also, if you're new, just know this. There's no need to try to get a quick flip.